Hello and welcome. This character profile video is for the class Void Knight. And what you will see is all of her skills, the top 8 PVE and PVP skills that I recommend, her skill combos, enhancements, player card, and a gameplay video. So, without further ado, I give you the class Void Knight. Here we go. And welcome to the skills slide. If you are new to my character profile videos, allow me to introduce the interface. On the far left are all of her skills, on the far right are all the specials that go with the skills, and then the charges is how many times you can use the skill, hits is how many times the skill will hit a creature or opponent, damage-PVE is the highest percentage damage that skill will do against a creature in the world, and damage-PVP is the highest percentage damage that skill will do against another player's character. You also have the passive at the bottom. So, a few things to explain. Over in specials, you'll see in green the max 4 attack or max 2 attack. Let's take Endless Blitz as an example. It's the second skill down. So you're able to use it once and it hits twice. What max 4 attacks means is if you tap the skill and she attacks once, but if you tap and hold the skill down, it's a maximum of 4 attacks she will do. So that's what that means, is she can attack up to 4 times, but you gotta tap and hold the skill. And let's see, there is also the words that are in red in the special section, and what that means is those actions do not apply when you fight in arena. So looking at Dark Mist as a skill, it says no grab while using the skill, invincible while using the skill. Yes, you are invincible while you're using the skill, except when you're fighting in arena. That's why the word invincible is highlighted red. And then the super armor works everywhere in the game except when you fight in arena. Your super armor will not be there for you. So looking around, that is pretty much it. Oh, sorry. On the left side where it says skills, the reason those words are highlighted purple is because all those skills connect to your passive at the bottom. And I will go over what the passive is and how it works in the PvP slide. So for now, take a moment to look at everything, and when you're ready, we'll go to the top 8 PvE skills that I recommend. Here we go. And welcome to the PvE slide. What I've done is I've taken all the skills and I've organized it under the column of damage-PVE, from the highest percentage all the way down to the lowest. And Legacy of Vidir is your highest single point damaging skill. So looking at all of this, there's one thing to point out, and that is, why is there 8 skills highlighted in green? And that's because that's how many we can take into the game world at a time. There is 3 tabs where you can customize 8 skills in each tab, but that's kind of an advanced thing and you'll get the hang of that later. But for now, if you're wondering what skills do I even use, I'm suggesting the ones highlighted in green. So take a moment to look at this, and when you're ready, we'll move on to the top 8 PvP skills that I recommend. Here we go. And welcome to the PvP slide. What I've done is taken all the skills and organized it under the column of damage-PVP, from the highest percentage all the way down to the lowest. And Legacy of Vidir is still your highest single point damaging skill. Now, what people who do PvP always want to know is, what skill can I use that gives me my super armor that I can use in arena? And it looks like, looking over at the specials column on the right hand side, there are 2 skills that allow you super armor when you're in arena, and that is Eclipse and then all the way down to Nightfall. So these 2 definitely When you're not in arena, there's many more options, but when you're in arena, it's just those. So what people usually do is probably start out with the move of Eclipse, and then go into, say, Legacy of Vidir and Obsidian Ashes, and then refresh Eclipse with the super armor and go from there. So this is just a suggestion. You don't have to do it, but people typically have the super armor in their rotation of skills, so they always have it active. And if you don't know what super armor is, when we get to the player card slide, I will explain the definition of what super armor is for you. So don't worry, it's there. Now, I want to go over the passive, so let's talk about the basics on that. For the passive to be active, you need to, it says apply Enchanting Frenzy when using 100 magic for 10 seconds. Now, I know you're looking at the specials section and you're going, well, if everything recovers, when do I use magic so I can activate my passive? And the answer is in your enhancements. But I'm not going to make you wait to go to the enhancement slide just to show you. We have a lot to show you. So first things first, I'm going to bring up a still picture of enhancements that you can use to activate your passive. And then we're going to go to a gameplay video showing you that passive in action. So let's start there. Hold on, I'll bring it up. Here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and start from the top, and that is Legacy of Vidir. If you want to follow along, if you're in gameplay, you bring up the menu and you go to Skills, and now you're on the skill screen, and you scroll down to Legacy of Vidir and tap on it. To the left of that, do you see the 5 circles surrounding the circle in the center, the icon for the skill? Okay, the bottom left is Magic Activation. It's the sword with the swirly circle around it, surrounded by a diamond. So when you tap on this, it says enhances increased DP effect plus 25%, consumes 50 magic when using skills, and magic recovery effect not applied on hit. So when you tap to activate it or active, then it will consume magic. Instead of, look over on the left hand side, it says recover 15 magic per hit. So in simple terms, when this is activated, you're using magic and not recovering it, but when you turn it off, it goes back to recovering, and you're wondering how I consume. So this doesn't cost any silver to unlock. It is there for you to activate or remove right from level 1. So let's go ahead and show you the other skills and what you're looking for. Here we go. And following the list from PvP, the second most damaging skill would be Obsidian Ashes, and the same thing here. When you tap on that skill and you look to the left where the enhancements are, and you look for the same icon for magic activation, you tap on it to activate, and it will then consume magic instead of recover. So once again, this is your choice on whether you want this skill to consume magic or not. And I'm just gonna show you the rest of them, and then it'll be the suggestion from me. So let's just tap on them and look at the rest of them from the list. And there is Fury of Kamisilvia, and then there is Cross Slash skill that you can use as well. There is also Dark Mist, and finally, going back to the PvP slide, if you look at the second to the bottom skill, Spirit Absorption, the one that heals you, and you look all the way over to the far right in the specials column, it says Enchant Frenzy. So if you heal yourself, you got to be level 70 to use this skill, but if you heal yourself, it'll automatically activate your passive. So what we're going to do now is cut over to a gameplay video that shows you all of these skills in action and what it looks like when your passive is active. Here we go. And welcome. So the skills are already inputted in for Legacy of Vadir, Obsidian Ashes, Fury, Kamisilvia, Cross Slash, and Dark Mist. I don't have Spirit Absorption in there, but that's okay. What we're going to do is show you what the passive looks like. So we're going to just tap on this skill twice. So there's 50 used, as you can see from the blue bar at the bottom, and the remainder used. And this is what it looks like when your passive is active. So now that you know, we're just going to have a little bit of fun. Now keep in mind that there's 5 skills that make your passive active, and I haven't even covered what happens when your passive is active, which will be next. But if you mix all of these skills with other skills and your playstyle, technically what I'm trying to tell you is your passive will always be active. It can be active all the time, giving you bonuses and effects, which is really great. So we're gonna head back, and she's just gonna compose herself again. We'll zoom in for dramatic flair. And let's go back to the PvP slide. Here we go. And welcome back. Now that you know what your passive looks like when it's active, let's talk about what happens when your passive is active. So looking at the bottom, first thing that we covered was you need to use 100 magic to activate your passive, and this is what happens. You reduce damage from other adventurers when hit for 3 seconds by 50%. There's a cooldown. The duration is 15 seconds. Magic recovery is 100%, so your magic bar is always full. That makes sense for the next part. It reduces magic consumption to 0, so you can just go crazy. And it increases damage to monsters by 10% for 10 seconds. So when you're out there doing guild events and you're fighting boss monsters, you get 10% more damage. And if your passive is always active, you're always going to get that 10% buff. Now the next one is applies 300% of magic activation enhancement effect. So when you went to turn on the magic activation for the skill so that it consumes magic, the enhancements above it before you got to that will be increased by 300%. I do the math for you, but that's a lot of skills and a lot of stuff, so just be aware that that gets a buff as well. Now, after that is the personal skills that are affected when your passive is active. So cross slash, what happens is there's an enhancement that you unlock that affects your AP skill. And what they're saying is when your passive is active, that AP skill enhancement is increased by 75%. So we'll get to the enhancement slide so you can see what this is. Don't worry, or you can skip right over if you want. The next one is Fury of Kamisilvia. There's 3 extra hits given. Now we're talking PvP. And if you look at Fury of Kamisilvia, it charges, you can use it once, it hits once, but it hits for 1,158.3% damage. And you're telling me when my passive is active, I can get 3 extra hits in? Very nice. Now, the one that I'm most excited about is Obsidian Ashes. There is an enhancement that when it's unlocked will do 450 damage over time. And if your passive is active and you use Obsidian Ashes along with that enhancement that's unlocked, altogether This will do a burn of 450 damage per second for 3 seconds. So that's 1,350 burn damage when your passive is active and you use Obsidian Ashes. Now, if you unlock that enhancement, that gives you another 450. It's a grand total of 1,800 burn damage on the creature or player's character that you hit them with Obsidian Ashes. And I'm telling you, if it's always active, your passive, and over 3 seconds you hit them again and then again, that 1,800 burn damage will stack very nicely. So think about that. Legacy of Vidir, your DP skill enhancement effect is increased by 75%. So once again, there's an enhancement you unlock that affects your DP, and it's increased by 75% when your passive is active. And last but not least, Dark Mist, your skill damage is increased by 30%. So take a moment to look at all this, and when you're ready, we're going to move on to the next slide, and that is the combo slide. So here we go. And welcome to the skill combo slide. So first things first, where can you see this? If you are in the game and you tap to bring up the menu system, and then you go to skills, which is on the right hand side, and you're on the skills screen, and then you look to the left and down, kind of sort towards the middle but down, you'll see a little icon that looks like a magnifying glass. You want to tap on that, and this is what will bring up the list of skill combos. But what I've done is I've taken all of them and put it on one screen for you to observe, whereas in the game you gotta scroll up and down to see it all. So on this slide you can print it out. Just take it, print, have it in front of you, and you can practice these things. If you love Void Knight and you want to be as good as you possibly can, this just makes sense. So now that we're on the screen, here's how it works. On the left hand side in blue is the starting skill. This is what Pearl Abyss recommends if you just are like, I have no idea how to play this character, I have the least amount of knowledge on what to do with the skills and how to use them. This is what they're saying. We'll try this. So how it works is to start out with the skill Dark Mist. Now Dark Mist will shoot you around like a pinball on a pinball machine, and once you're done with that, there's an icon that looks like a chain link, and they're saying after Dark Mist, try Nightfall, or try Eclipse, or Fury Kamisilvia, or any of those after you do Dark Mist. So they're giving you options. However, if you start out with Dark Mist, and then when you finish, you move into Dancing Blade, then if you look right below, you can do your Dancing Blade and move into the skill of Eclipse. And then if you look below that, you can do Eclipse to Endless Blitz. That's four hit combo right there that they just gave you. So this is how the screen works, and it's there for you to try it out, get comfortable. You over time will know what you like in skills and which ones work best for you. But this is a spot where you can get an idea of where to start. So what we're going to do, take a moment to look at all this, and we're going to move on to the enhancement slide. Here we go. And at long last, we are on the enhancement slide. So let's go ahead and cover the basics. If you are new to the enhancement slide, on the far left are all of her skills. On the far right is the branch damage connected to those skills. And there's 4 columns in the center. The first one, second, and fourth, I try to make all those things happen for your Void Knight. The third column is things that happen to the creature or player's character that you're fighting. So sometimes it doesn't turn out that way, but this is the general framework of how the enhancement slide works. So let's go ahead and knock out some basics. And that is, if you look at the skill Fury of Kamisilvia and go all the way over to the right where it says heal, 205 hit points per hit. First of all, except for the magic activation I spoke about earlier, way earlier, where it was free to use, all of the rest you need to unlock. Now, if there's a red number next to it, it means it's a skill level, and you need skill books to learn and get your skill level up to that number so you can then pay silver, unlock it, and use it. And I'm pretty confident that heal 205 hit points per hit is an enhancement that you will need to unlock. I'd have to double check that, but chances are it's right. So the next part, well, if I need these skill books, where do I get them? If you fight creatures in the world of Elion, or if you're in the world of Hadum, they'll be in treasure chests, the skill books. And when you get it, it's random. You learn these skill books and it applies to different skills that you have. And when you get the level up, then you unlock your enhancements. So that's how that works. And next, there is the skill that is called Legacy of Vidir. And if you look all the way over to the right, there's a flow. And flows are usually another skill on top of what you already have. So when you get the level and you unlock this flow for Legacy of Vidir, you'll have it, and then you'll have what this says, and that's 100% more damage. The SA means super armor, and it also means it's not applied in arena because it's colored red, and then knock up on hit. So you get everything that Legacy of Vidir does, and you have this flow on top of it. So now that the basics are covered, let's go back to the magic activation. So if you recall from the PvP slide, we had specific skills that were highlighted in purple that have something happen to them when your passive is active. So start with cross slash. It said that the AP skill enhancement effect is increased by 75%. So what I'm looking at for magic activation and enhancements, the first column, it says AP is plus 25%. It consumes magic, so minus 50% magic, and the effect is that it doesn't recover anymore, it consumes. So if you add 75% when your passive is active to the AP plus 25%, it means your CP will increase by 100% while your passive is active for 10 seconds. And if you recall, if you continuously make sure your passive is active, you'll always have an extra 100 CP. So that is what happens when you use cross slash. Now, Dark Mist, it said, let's see, yes, skill damage increased by 30%. And it says that when you turn on the magic activation for Dark Mist, it gives you plus 10% damage. So all the rest you know. So what it comes down to is while your passive is active, Dark Mist gives you a buff of 40% damage. More damage it does. So take the 136.5% and add 40% more, and that's what happens when your passive is active. And that's for Dark Mist. So Fury of Kamisilvia, I was excited, 3 extra hits given. So when it's active here, it gives you 1 hit. So if you add that up, you get 4 extra hits when Fury of Kamisilvia is active and your passive is active. And Obsidian Ashes, the way that works is when you turn on magic activation, it inflicts 150 damage every 1 second for 3 seconds. and then you come over to the passive, and that gives you 450 damage a second for 3 seconds. So if you add that all up, the passive is giving you 1350 burn damage over 3 seconds, and the magic activation burn damage is giving you 150 every 1 second for 3 seconds, which is 450 more, for a grand total of 1800 burn damage every 3 seconds. While your passive is active, that's why it stacks. And if your passive is always active and you come around hitting them with Obsidian Ashes, you are really doing a lot of burn damage like crazy. So think about that, and let's look at the next skill. And that is Legacy of Vidir. It gives you a DP of plus 25% increase for your CP damage. And if you look at the passive, it says the DP skill enhancement effect is increased by 75%. So if you add that up, that's 100. So what that means is between using Cross Slash and using Legacy of Vidir, you're giving yourself 200 CP buff all the time on top of what your CP is. So this might be of interest to you to keep your passive active and use Cross Slash and Legacy of Vidir to give yourself that CP buff. So that is how the passive works. Now take a moment to look at the enhancement slide, and when you're ready, we're going to move on to the player card. Here we go. And welcome to the player card. It's like a baseball card. It is all the slides that you saw, all put together in one slide so that you can come and check her out. If you are stressed for time and you're interested in the Void Knight, you can come over here and take a look at what she has. Maybe print it out and look at it while you're out and about, and you can see everything that she has to offer. So let me go ahead and take a moment to introduce how the interface works. At the very top is the top 8 PVE and PVP skills that I recommended in green, and to the right of that is something new. It's called Immobilization. Anytime that a skill stuns, knock down, freeze, etc., anything that immobilizes your opponent or the creature you're fighting, where you can get in the extra hits, in this window it is highlighted in green, meaning you have an immobilization, and then to the right of that is how many do you have. So the example, let's look at the very top for Eclipse, and then go down to the skills section, and it says that it has a knockback on hit. So that is an immobilization. And as you can see, I'd say more than 50% of her skills have an immobilization to it. Why is that important? Because the more skills you attack another player's character with that has an immobilization, it gives you the higher chance that you will catch them when their super armor is not active, and you immobilize them and you can get in the extra hits. And that makes the difference when you're fighting PvP, or maybe it's getting it in when you're trying to defeat creatures that are tough. So that is how immobilization works. You know all about the skills below, and you know all about the enhancements. There's a legend below that for what's not applied in Path of Glory or Arena. And finally, at the very bottom is the definition for forward guard and super armor. Now, I haven't talked about this much, but you have a skill that has forward guard in it. It is Fury of Kamisilvia. And the way that that works is, as long as your creature or opponent is in front of you, or in front to the right or the left and trying to damage you, Forward guard means that incoming damage will either be 0 or heavily reduced. So as long as they're in front of you, you are protected. If they get behind you, then they're going to damage you normally, and this is not good for you. So going below that is super armor, and if you've been wondering what is super armor, please tell me. This means that incoming damage will be reduced, and the effects that immobilize you, like stun, knockdown, freeze, etc., will not happen for a duration of time. We don't know how long super armor lasts, and we probably won't ever know, otherwise people could plan on when to attack you and immobilize you, so it's best that we don't know. Just know that people in PvP constantly have refreshing their super armor in the rotation of all of their skills, and that's what I recommended for you too. So take a moment to look at all this, and when you're ready, the music is gonna change, and we're gonna move on to the gameplay video where we show you what the Void Knight can do. Here we go. And welcome to the gameplay video. So before we get started, let us show you where we're at. We're over here in Balanos, and we're over here at Kron Castle entrance, and we're here because I love it here. Their CP is that much, and our CP is way this much. So she'll be alright. The way this works is we'll have her use this auto path. We'll have her fight for about 2-3 minutes, at which time we'll have her go back to town. I'll give my outro and say thank you. So, without further ado, I am very pleased to give you the class Void Knight. Here we go. It's just about ready for us to head back to town. There we go. And while the loading screen loads, allow me to say thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like my videos, please subscribe, like, let people know. I'm always making more videos, and you can expect more videos from me. So what we do now is swing the camera around and display our character for you. I'll just zoom in. There we go. That's a good spot right there. And we'll have her give you a wave. I like how their face goes from hi back to serious. So Thank you once again for enjoying my videos, and you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye now.